Welcome back to Football Daily, where in this episode we're taking a look at 10 players whose injuries changed the course of their club this campaign. Let's get into it. 10. Angelo Ogbonna. It might be a bit far-fetched to suggest that West Ham United would have nailed down 4th spot had Angelo Ogbonna still been in the lineup, but with the general inconsistency of those around them, a few more favourable results could have put them in pole position for the final Champions League places as we enter the final stretch of the campaign. The 33-year-old, who joined the Hammers from Juventus in 2015, wasn't ever present this season until he sustained an ACL injury early on in their 3-2 victory over Liverpool. This result had moved West Ham into 3rd place, and at this stage, David Moyes' side had the 4th best defence by goals conceded in the division. The Irons, though, would only win one of their next 7 fixtures without Ogbonna, with Craig Dawson and Issa Diop unable to replicate the Italians' partnership with Kurt Zouma. Goals conceded per game went from 1.1 up to 1.3, with less points than Aston Villa and Newcastle in the 18 games since. Of course, West Ham's season is far from over, but they're going to have to complete it without their defensive stalwart. 9. Dani Olmo. In 2020-21, Dani Olmo was very much a mainstay in the RB Leipzig squad, contributing 19 goals across all competitions before also impressing with Spain at Euro 2020. But like most of the stars at that summer's tournament, he would sit out the first few matches of the ensuing season, not featuring until mid-September. Ahead of this campaign, the 23-year-old had never missed a professional match due to injury, but in the last 6 months he's been sidelined for 5 different spells, missing 21 games in total. Most of his issues have stemmed from muscle tears, which saw him miss 14 games between September and January, and has limited him to just 8 starts all campaign, only half of those in the league. The only 2 Bundesliga matches that Leipzig have lost with Olmo on the pitch have come against Bayern Munich, and taking those out of the equation, they average 2.3 points when he features compared to 1.5 when he doesn't, as well as contributing either a goal or an assist every 75 minutes. Of course, these numbers are amplified when he's played so little, but it goes to show what RB Leipzig have been missing this campaign. 8. Wesley Fofana. Let's be honest, we could have picked any number of Leicester City players for this entry. Johnny Evans has missed around half of the campaign, whilst the goals have dried up in the last couple of months as Jamie Vardy misses game time. But instead, we're looking at Wesley Fofana. The Frenchman emerged as an important player for Brendan Rodgers during last campaign and was in line to be a key starter for the Foxes again despite only being 20 years old. However, disaster struck as the former St Etienne centre-back suffered a broken leg during a pre-season friendly, ruling him out indefinitely. With Fofana out and Evans also struggling for fitness, Rodgers was left with just Kaglar Soyuncu at centre-half, before signing Yannick Vestergaard from Southampton, although the Dane has underwhelmed. Midfielders Wilfred Ndidi and Hamza Chowdhury have also been trialled in defence, as their goals conceded per game has rocketed to 1.7 from 1.3 last season. This means Leicester are battling just to finish in the top half, a far cry from their Champions League pushes in the last 2 campaigns. 7. Paulo Dybala. He might have been linked with a move away from Juventus in recent windows, but the reality is that Paulo Dybala is as integral to the club as he's ever been. Since moving to Turin from Palermo in 2015, the Argentinian has scored 113 goals at a rate better than one every other game, and this season is the Bianconeri's top scorer, but isn't on the field as much as Max Allegri would hope. He might have made 29 appearances across all competitions in the 2021-22 campaign, but he has already had 5 spells out injured, missing multiple games each time. As a result, the 28-year-old who wears the captain's armband whenever Giorgio Chiellini isn't on the pitch is only 8th in the squad for Serie A minutes, with his 1,500 minutes almost 500 behind strike partner Alvaro Morata. Despite this difference though, Dybala actually matches the Spaniard with 8 goals and 5 assists. After a slow start to the campaign for Juve, Allegri's side seem to have locked down 4th spot at a minimum, but with half an eye still on the Scudetto, they'd certainly been a lot closer had Dybala been fit all year round. 6. Ismaïla Sarr. Teams battling against relegation need all the help they can get, and often end up relying on a talismanic figure to push them towards safety. For Watford, Ismaïla Sarr quickly became that man, and whilst the Hornets were relegated in 2019-20, his decision to stay with the club in the Championship despite interest from elsewhere was well received. But after an injury-free campaign in the 2nd tier, his issues this season undoubtedly leave the Hertfordshire side worse off in their fight against a 4th Premier League relegation. Only Norwich City have experienced such a fate more often. The Senegalese international, who has 5 goals and an assist this season, missed all of December and January with a ligament injury, and has also missed the majority of March with a hamstring issue too. In total, Sarr has missed just 13 matches, with Watford picking up just 5 points in those fixtures compared to 17 in the 16 in which he's played. The likes of Emmanuel Dennis and Josh King are managing to provide something in Sarr's absence, with 14 and 8 goal contributions respectively, but the reality is they are just prolonging the inevitable relegation come the end of the season. 5. Pedri. Pedri's simply insane 2020-21 campaign is well documented. The teenager played a mammoth 73 games for club and country, culminating in the Olympic finals in early August. So in some ways, it was no surprise at all that the midfielder's incredible development came to a screeching halt at the beginning of this season. After featuring in Barcelona's first 4 games of the campaign, the 19-year-old would then spend the next 3 months in the physio's room with a hamstring injury. Of course, it's harsh to put all of the Blaugrana's issues on Pedri's absence, which saw him miss 24 matches, although he had emerged as an unlikely talisman under Ronald Koeman the prior season. Such is his importance that even under new manager Xavi, he has started 13 of the 14 matches possible in the 4 different competitions since his return from injury, replacing fellow prodigy Gavi in the starting lineup. His return has also coincided with Barca's climb up the table, now finding themselves 3rd in La Liga, as well as their assault on the Europa League. With Pedri back, Barca can still salvage something worthwhile from this season yet. 4. Ben Chilwell. Both Ben Chilwell and Reece James of Chelsea have spent a decent amount of the season out of action, but we're focusing on the left back who was impressing everybody with his form before injury ended his campaign early. Chilwell started the season on the bench after being part of England's Euro 2020 squad late into the summer, but when he finally made it back into Thomas Tuchel's starting lineup, he excelled beyond all expectation. The 25-year-old's first 3 starts yielded 3 goals. However, in a European fixture against Juventus, the former Leicester City man ruptured his cruciate ligament, ruling him out for the rest of the year. Whilst Marcos Alonso is an adequate replacement for the Englishman, there were rumours that Chelsea would dip into the transfer market to find someone that would help the Blues maintain a title challenge, but nothing came to fruition as they fell away from Manchester City and Liverpool. Of course, Tuchel's Chelsea are deep in both the FA Cup and Champions League, so can still end the season with a trophy, but we all know that the Premier League is the holy grail in West London. 3. Florian Wirtz. Almost as quickly as Bayer Leverkusen sold one young talent in Kai Havertz, another emerged in Florian Wirtz. Making his debut for the club as a 17-year-old, Wirtz briefly became the youngest goalscorer in Bundesliga history, and to this point in his burgeoning career, he has 41 goal involvements in just 78 appearances for Die Werkself. Still a month away from turning 19, the Germany international was on fire at the start of the 21-22 season, and come the end of February had 17 contributions in the Bundesliga alongside 7 more in just 6 Europa League games. But against FC Köln in March, disaster struck. Wirtz suffered an ACL tear, ruling him out not just for the rest of the season but likely all of 2022. Horrible news for Bayer, who are locked in a 4-way battle for 2 Champions League spots but have to make do without their young stalwart. They've already crashed out of the Europa League in Wirtz's absence and are hoping that's as bad as it gets for them. We'll find out in a matter of weeks just how they're getting on. 2. Patrick Bamford. Maybe Marcelo Bielsa's time at Leeds United was always trending in this direction, with the Argentinian sacked in February as their defence was hemorrhaging goals, but he also didn't have the luxury in falling back on an attack that was the 6th best in the Premier League in 2020-21. Most of that was thanks to Patrick Bamford, whose 17 strikes were more than double any of his teammates. 28-year-old Bamford has only made 9 appearances for the Whites all season, having suffered 2 separate injuries. The first was an ankle issue which ruled him out for 9 matches, and whilst he scored on his return against Brentford in December, that would be his only appearance until early March as a hamstring problem emerged. Bamford's recovery was meant to be a boost at Ellen Road in their battle against relegation, but once again the one-time capped England international has suffered yet another setback. Just 23 minutes into their crazy 3-2 victory against Wolves, the former Chelsea striker was forced off as his hamstring injury resurfaced once more. While results may have gone in their favour recently, new boss Jesse Marsch will still be hoping that Bamford is back for the run-in. 1. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. This season could not have got off to a better start for Everton, as Dominic Calvert-Lewin opened the campaign with 3 goals in his first 3 matches as the Toffees were left dreaming of a return to European football. But that was as good as it got, as their hopes died when the 25-year-old striker suffered a quadriceps injury. With DCL out injured for 3 months, Everton would win just 3 of 14 matches, sliding from the top 6 down to the bottom 6. This has left them fighting a shock relegation to the 2nd tier, a level of football not played at Goodison Park since 1954. The return of Calvert-Lewin in January doesn't seem to have rejuvenated the side either, with just 6 points from 7 games he's featured in since the new year. Now with Frank Lampard at the helm, their fortunes have remained unchanged, with Everton's number 9 still without a goal since the last weekend of August and just 5 goals for the rest of the squad since the beginning of February. If Calvert-Lewin doesn't regain his early form imminently, it's going to be a very nervy end to the campaign for every Toffees fan. So that was our look at 10 injuries that have ruined your club season. Let us know if we've missed any players out at all, and who do you think is the most significant absence this term? If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to Football Daily and hit that notification bell, and we'll see you next time.